Hello everyone, my name is Nikita and I am from the Bodhi Academy. In the last video, I had started with the topic of sexual reproduction from the 12th standard biology textbook lesson number 1, that is reproduction in organisms. And further I had also mentioned that in sexual reproduction we have three events occurring: the pre-fertilization events, fertilization event and the post-fertilization event. Today we will be seeing the first event, that is the pre-fertilization event. Means what exactly happens in the pre-fertilization event. In the pre-fertilization event of sexual reproduction, we have two categories. We have two events, have sub-events which are processing in sequence. Okay, the first one is something called as gametogenesis and the second one is gamete transfer. Okay, so in gametogenesis, what happens is that gametogenesis, okay, gamete means, I have told you all, the gametes are the ones which are produced by the male and the female reproductive organs in the male and the female organs. So, and they are produced only when the female is when the organism individual is reproductively active. So, for the gametes to produce, for the gametes to come in contact, they have to be produced. So gametogenesis is nothing but it is the production of this gamete. Gametogenesis, genesis means formation. Okay, so gametogenesis means the production, the production of gametes. Okay, now the male will produce the sperm and the female will produce the ova. Now, in the gametes, in the male and the female gametes, these gametes produced can be same or different. Okay, the gametes produced by the female and the male can be same. They can be same means morphologically same. They are morphologically same, and it is difficult to identify whether the gamete is of the male or the female. Okay, and such gametes are called as isogametes. Isogametes. Now, in most of the organisms, the gametes produced by the female is different and the male is different. So means they are morphologically different. Looking at them, you can identify that this is the male gamete and this is the female gamete. These are called as heterogametes. Heterogametes. So in the production of gametes, the gametes, depending upon the organism, the male and the female gamete can be same. Okay, and when they are same, means it is difficult to distinguish between the male and the female gametes. They are called as isogametes. Now, and in some cases, for example, in human beings, the male and the female gamete is completely different. You can look and identify it and because of their morphological characteristics and many more other things, and they are called as heterogametes. Okay, so this comes under gametogenesis. Now, when we talk about the production of gametes, the very important thing we need to learn is the sexuality of organism. Okay, sexuality of an organism means sexuality. This word sexuality means that, in common words, I would say that it's the gender of the organism. It will determine the gender, whether it is the male and the female. And this sexuality of organisms in sexual reproduction, sexually reproducing organisms, is identified by the presence of the reproductive organs. Presence of reproductive organs. Which organs are present and how are they present? Okay, which organs are present? So on if we say that commonly, okay, usually we can say that the organism which has the male reproductive organ will be the sexuality will be the male, and the one which has the female reproductive organ, the sexuality of the organism will be female. Now, in some cases, especially in the plants, okay, in the plants, the both the male and the female reproductive organs can be present on the in the same plant, okay, in the same organism. Means it has the male reproductive organ also and the female reproductive organ also. Such type of organisms are called as bisexual. Bisexual, okay, means it has both the male reproductive organ and the female reproductive organ also, and they are called as bisexual. Bi means two, okay, bisexual. Now, and the other terms which are used for them are homothallic, and monoecious. Okay, so a bisexual organism is a homothallic and it is also monoecious. Okay, means both the reproductive organs are present on the same plant. They are called as bisexual, homothallic and monoecious. Okay, so what will be now the opposite? Okay, the different part of it. Now, next part is that the organism having either the male reproductive organ, the plant having either the male reproductive organ or either the female reproductive organ. Okay, so in this case, the male reproductive organ, okay, the male reproductive organ in the plant is called as the stamen. So the entire plant is called as the staminate. The female reproductive organ is the pistil. Okay, so the entire plant is called as the pistillate. These are unisexual plants. Unisexual means only one reproductive organ, either the male or either the female reproductive organ is present in the plant. So if the male reproductive organ stamen is present, the plant is called as staminate, and if female is present, it is called as the pistillate. And other terms which are used for unisexual plants are heterothallic and dioecious. Okay, so plants are the bisexual are homothallic and monoecious, and the unisexual are heterothallic and dioecious. Okay, so this comes under the sexuality of organisms. Now, next concept which we need to learn in this topic is the cell division part. We have already studied in our previous classes that under cell division we have two things. One is the mitosis and the second one is the meiosis. Okay, in simple words, mitosis means equational division. And meiosis means reductional division. This is something which we need to know every time when we learn this concept. Mitosis is equational division and meiosis is reductional division. Now, why are we learning this here? We are talking about gametogenesis, production of gamete. Now we know that there are two sets of chromosomes in an organism. Means the definition, the symbol given for the two sets of chromosomes is N. Okay, so the entire organism has to have 2N chromosomes at the end after fertilization. Okay, now we know that the male gamete, consider the sperm, and the egg. At the end, in the organism, they together they fuse and they form the zygote. The zygote has to be 2n. It should have two sets of chromosomes at the end. So, what should be the number of chromosomes in, what should be the set, okay, the chromosomes in each of these gametes? After fusion, I have to have 2n chromosomes, means two sets of chromosomes. So how many sets should be present in both of these gametes? Okay, 2n. This is 2n. So sperm should have n and egg should have n. Okay, so this means that the sperm should have one set of chromosome and the egg should also have one set of chromosome. The term used for this is the 2n chromosome containing zygote is called as a diploid. Okay, and both of these are called as haploid. Now, the haploid means the one containing one set of chromosome. Diploid means two sets of chromosomes. Okay, so it is said that gametes are always haploid. Gametes should always be haploid. It should have only one set of chromosome because two gametes fuse together in sexual reproduction and they form the diploid zygote. Okay, they form the diploid zygote. So gametes should always be haploid. Now, how are these haploid gametes produced? Okay, for the production of haploid gamete, what a division should take place? Okay, now this haploid gamete has to be produced by an organism. It should be produced by the individual. Rather, no matter what it is, maybe it is a male, maybe it is a individual having a haploid organism, or may it be diploid organism. It should always produce a haploid gamete. Okay, maybe the organism which is producing the haploid gamete is diploid. Okay, or the organism producing the haploid gamete is haploid. Okay, whatever is the number of chromosome in the set of chromosome in the original organism, the organism producing the gamete, haploid gamete, the gamete should always be haploid. The organism may be diploid or it may be haploid, but it should always produce a haploid gamete. Now, how is this possible? We have to go back to the definition of mitosis and meiosis. We have said that mitosis is equational division, meiosis is reductional division. Okay, so haploid is n, right? Haploid is n and diploid is 2n. Okay, now the haploid organism, if it has to produce a diploid gamete, the haploid organism, if it has to produce a haploid gamete, which division it will have to go? Both are n, correct? Both are n. Both are equal number of chromosomes. Both have equal number of chromosomes. So, if a haploid organism has to produce a haploid gamete, should it undergo mitosis or meiosis? Okay, it should undergo the equational division, which is mitosis. Now, in case of diploid organism, the organism is diploid. Okay, the organism is diploid. Example, human beings. Human beings are diploid. Okay, the zygote of the human beings at the initial stage is diploid. So human beings are diploid, having two sets of chromosome. But for gametogenesis, it has to produce the haploid gamete, right? So how are they going to produce? By which division? Will mitosis work over here? Mitosis is equational. It will again produce 2n, right? So here we use meiosis. Meiosis is reductional division, means it will reduce the number of chromosome at the end to end. Okay, so mitosis is the equational division wherein the haploid organism will produce a haploid gamete. But in case of human beings, the organism producing the haploid gamete is diploid. In that case, the organism has to undergo meiosis, which is reductional division, and it has to produce it has to reduce its number of chromosome from 2n to n in the haploid gamete. Okay, so this is a very important concept which we need to know in this part. So now we will be moving on further to gamete transfer. Before going on further, moving on further to other parts of this concept, I will like to say that the male gamete, okay, I will be talking about the motility of the gametes produced by the male and the female. Okay, so talking about it, the male gamete, in most of the cases, it is always motile. Okay, and the female gamete is non-motile or stationary. Non-motile. So the male gamete, especially in the algae, pteridophytes and bryophyllum, what happens is that the male gamete is motile. So it reaches the female gamete, that it moves through the through water. Okay, it moves through water and it reaches the female gamete. The medium is water. The medium of transport is water. It reaches the female gamete. Now the male gametes, the female gamete in most of the cases is single one, but the male gamete are produced more in number, because while they are transferred to the female gamete, the probability of them reaching to the female gamete and getting fused is less. So because on the way they can be damaged by many things, okay, on the way they can be killed, okay, and all may not reach the female gamete. So always the male gamete is produced in more numbers than the female gamete. Okay, yes. So now we will be talking about the gamete transfer in flowering plants. Okay, this topic we have also covered in our previous classes in standard 10th, but just to revise that, I have already said that a female organ, reproductive organ in plants is the pistil and the male is the stamen. Okay, and the gametes produced are in the male, okay, it is the stamen which has the anther and the filament. On the anther, the pollen grains contains the male gamete. Male gamete. In the female, it is the pistil, which has the stigma, the style and the ovary. In the ovary, there is the ovule which contains the female gamete, that is the egg. Okay. Now, the pollen grain, the male gamete from the pollen grain which is present on the anther has to reach the ovule present in the ovary. Okay, this is the gamete transfer. This is the mechanism of gamete transfer. Now, what is the difference in bisexual plants? Okay, in bisexual plants, the male and the female are present on the same plant, means a stamen and the pistil are present on the same plant. So there will be self-fertilization taking place. The pollen grain of the same flower will fertilize with the egg. The male gamete from the pollen grain of the same flower will fertilize, will go and meet the egg of the same flower of the same ovary, and there will be fertilization taking place. So this is self-fertilization. Self-fertilization. Now, what in the case of unisexual? Unisexual plants, one will be staminate, means the one bearing the stamens, and the other one will be pistillate, the one bearing the pistil. Now, this will have its own pollen grains and this will have its own ovary and the ovule. Okay? The pollen grain from this has to transfer the male gamete to the egg. Okay? The pollen grain from this flower has to transfer its male gamete to the ovule of the pistillate. Okay, the pistillate. Now, how does this happen? Okay, when these are the anthers. Okay, the top part is the anther. So this is the anther and this is the filament. And this entire part is the stamen. Okay, now this is the pistil. The pistil has the stigma, style, and ovary. There are the ovules here. So this is just a simple diagram for understanding. Now this is one flower and this is the next flower. Okay, the pollen grains will be produced on this staminate flower. So the pollen grains will be transferred to the stigma of the pistil of the next flower. Okay, and after the pollen tube rolls over here, there will be fertilization taking place over here. The transfer of the pollen grains from the anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower is called as cross pollination. Okay, or cross fertilization. So self fertilization and self pollination is the one in which in bisexual flowers, wherein the pollen grain is transferred from the anther of the stamen to the stigma of the pistil of the same flower. But in cross pollination, it is the different flower. Okay, because this happens in unisexual plants, right, which have either the stamen or the pistil. Okay, so in this case it is the cross pollination and cross fertilization. Now, how does this happen? Like, who transfers them? First of all, if the flowers are very close enough, it can be transferred directly. Okay, but in case if they are far, okay, if they are not close enough, mostly they are transferred by pollinating agents such as air, okay, air, wind, and insects, okay, which will take up the pollen grains from the anther of one flower, and the pollen grains will stick to it. Okay, and then they will go and transfer it to the stigma of the next flower. Okay, so this is how gamete transfer takes place by pollination. Okay, so we have today seen the pre-fertilization events occurring before fertilization, that is gametogenesis and gamete transfer. Under gametogenesis, we saw the different types of gametes, the gametes formed, the types of gametes, how they are different. Then we saw the sexuality of the organism. Later we saw cell division and why it is important to study the cell division. Then we saw what is gamete transfer. Okay, in the next video we will be discussing about the next event, that is fertilization, which is the main event occurring in the sexually reproducing organisms. Okay, so thank you for watching my video. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel.